Hello there everyone, I'm Albz, and today we're taking a look at some Tales from Retail, which is also the name of the subreddit. Let's get right into it. We're an extension of a grocery store and we don't have our own facilities, so the grocery store sends a clerk down to cover our register while we go to the store and use the bathroom. It's not far at all, maybe 300 feet, but I always take my car just because it's a little faster than walking and I feel safer in my car than I do walking through a parking lot, for exactly this reason. I was on my way back to the gas station, and as you leave the grocery store part, you have to stop at a four-way and then continue on to the gas station. Well, I stopped, and a man in a 1500 truck behind me stopped. As I started to pull forward, for some reason he cuts out from behind me so that he's beside my car in the opposite traffic lane and proceeds to cut his wheel to the right, loudly flooring his truck so the exhaust roars directly in my ear and turning it directly in front of my car. If I wasn't just leaving from a dead stop, then I wouldn't have been able to stop in time. That's how close it was to ramming the front end of my car. Obviously, I laid on my horn as I slammed my brakes on and then continue once he also stops. Then he has the audacity to lay on his horn back at me and call me vulgar names out the window. I watch him in my mirror as I pull into the gas station, hoping and praying that he leaves and doesn't turn in. No such luck. A few minutes later, he walks up to my window and doesn't recognize me, but I let him know that I'm the one he almost hit. I'll be me, he'll be MD for moron driver. He's mid-late 30s. Remember me? Red Corolla I almost just mowed down? Called me all kinds of names? You wouldn't move. What? You were going way too slow, then you just stopped. I tried to go around you and then you decided you wanted to move again. That's because it's a four-way stop. You have to wait your turn and stop. Oh, my bad. Yeah. And then he casually leaves like nothing happened. I think it's kind of funny that he did sort of accept it. I mean, he didn't argue back. He probably realized he was in the wrong there, so that's pretty good. I work as a cashier in a big supermarket in the UK. I start work before the tills open on Sundays, so do other jobs from the first few hours of my shift. The store itself opens half an hour before the tills open. I happened to be at the front of the store, so was asked to open up and let the customers in, where I was met with a man who asked why I left everyone standing out in the cold. Let's say the store opens at 10:30. A quick glance at my watch tells me it's 10:33. I tell the guy that I just opened up when I was asked to, so he tells me to take him to whoever gave me the order to open up. I kinda eavesdrop on the ensuing mess, as he asks my colleagues why we opened 10 minutes late. He's shot down when they show him multiple clocks and watches saying that it's only 10:35 at this point. He yells at one of my colleagues for not looking at him when he's talking to her. She glanced away for a moment to place a scanning handset into a rack, and the man had the full attention of the other colleagues next to him, and then went on to customer service to get them to contact the manager. What was his problem? I mean, damn, you should have just opened like 10 minutes before your opening time. You obviously had to cater to this specific man. Yesterday, I was managing the floor at my store, greeting customers, delegating tasks to colleagues, etc. We had a launch on Friday of a new product, so we've been incredibly busy. Last night, during a really busy period, I was already with a customer when a man walked past. He was wearing headphones and appeared to be talking to someone, so I smiled at him and said, "Hey, how are ya?" He ignored me and went on to go browse the tablets. About a minute later, literally a minute, I'm still with my customer, my staff are still busy doing their jobs, and he begins to walk off, still talking to someone through his headphones. As he walks by, my customer begins to walk off too, and I say, "Bye guys, have a good night." Man turns around and starts yelling, "Have a good night? I've been in here for 5 minutes and not once was I asked if I needed help." "I'm sorry, you were on the phone with someone, and as you can see we're all busy with customers. Is there anything I can help you with?" "On the phone? Oh, it looked like you were speaking with someone. I thought you didn't hear me when I asked you how you were, because you were in a conversation." "Well, I wasn't, and I just wanted you to know that you've lost a customer, and I have $7,000 in my pocket right now that I wanted to spend, but you won't be getting any of it." He begins to walk away. "No worries, mate. I hope your night gets better." I hope that's not sarcasm. He storms off into the shopping center and starts yelling at random people, warning them not to come in, and announcing to the world that he's going to buy the competitor's product. Had a chuckle when I saw he already had their product in his hand. It would seem as if he was just there to advertise the competitor's product, I guess. Didn't really seem like he had much intention to actually buy anything in that store. I still remember this lady vividly, as she was the first dom/rude client I got in retail. I was a cashier at a grocery store and was working the morning shift. The breakfast rush was long gone and the place was mostly empty and quiet, until a lady in her 45 to 50s comes to me. I politely say the typical "Hi, did you find everything you needed?" and starts working as usual. She tells me to bag her things lightly, so I oblige. In total, it must have weighed around 20 to 25 kilos. I pack her food lighter than I would normally and make sure bags are approximately the same weight. In other words, I did my job. After she's done paying, she tries to pick all her bags and fails. She then dead glare me and says, "You idiot, I told you to pack my bag light. I have a long way to walk home. Those bags are too heavy." I was a bit taken aback by this, because my first thought was, why buying 20 kilos of food if you can't carry it? "I'm sorry ma'am, but I did as you said. I spread the weight equally. I don't care if they're all in equal weight, it's too heavy." "If it's too heavy for you, we have a delivery service. If you want, I don't want to pay extra. Just do your job and pack my things lighter." She was basically screaming at that point. I tried to explain that even if I spread the weight through 50 bags, if she picks them all up at once, together they will still weigh the same. She was having none of it and kept making a scene. She asked to see the manager, which I promptly called because at that point I wanted nothing more to do with her. While waiting for my manager to arrive, the lady kept yelling and cussing at me while I was rigging another customer C. My manager arrived and asked what was going on. "This lady here is incompetent, you should fire her immediately." "There's no need to scream, ma'am. What's going on?" "She packed my things way too heavy on purpose." My manager knew me well enough to know I wouldn't do such a thing, as I usually went out of my way to accommodate customers. The manager, with a cold "I don't have time for this" voice, "May I take one bag to check?" GL was so sure she was right and gave her a bag. My manager looked at her and straight up said, "This bag isn't heavy, I don't see the problem." The grumpy lady's face turned red in anger and started yelling at my manager that she had to walk home with all those heavy bags and she had a long walk to go. My manager told her that we did deliveries, but GL again didn't listen and pointed the finger at me, calling me incompetent and other lovely names. The customer got mad and said firmly, "Ma'am, will you please shut up? She did exactly what you asked. It's your fault for buying too many groceries. She can't magically make your groceries weigh less." Her face was worth all the gold in the world. I think at that moment she was both shocked and to be treated so poorly by someone, as well as feeling ashamed of her lack of logic, as if she understood the point I was trying to make earlier. She picked up her bags and left hissing, staring at me as if it was all my fault. My manager started laughing as soon as she left. I seriously have no idea how this woman thought that by spreading the weight in many bags it would make the whole thing weight less. I think it's safe to say that maybe maths have some purpose in our lives. Has this woman gone through her entire life without realizing this? Has she, for probably a good 40 years then, honestly believed that by spreading things it makes them lighter? Backstory. I work at a large multinational company and we have our own brand of generic items. Not much is different, except maybe a couple of ingredients or the way it is made, but it's never anything massively below brand name quality. Now to the story. A larger man had come into the store one night about 2 hours before closing. He had 3 completely empty bags of our generic brand chicken wings. As I've been told, he went up to our cashier and demanded a refund for the chicken. The cashier we had working at the time has some mental issues due to a stroke he had when he was a young child, so he isn't very good with confrontation, although to this day he still and always will be the customer favorite. So he calls the manager on duty, who comes over. The man demands that the manager gives him a refund for the chicken. Now this manager isn't a pushover in the slightest, so he simply said no and tried to walk away. The customer continued to demand that he be refunded because the chicken was too fattening, to which my manager admitted he chuckled at the man, who was, according to him, well over 300 pounds. The man began yelling and screaming at both my manager and my coworker, and more or less forced my manager to call the store manager. The store manager offered to refund one of the bags, and the man reluctantly accepted, knowing he wouldn't get any better. About 2 days later, our store gets a call from our district manager how we refused to refund someone for a faulty product. Once the situation was explained, even the district manager found it amusing. If you think the chicken is unhealthy for you, then maybe don't buy it and eat it? Maybe? I really do hope that you enjoyed this one. I sure did enjoy making it. If you like the GIF in the background, I really do suggest that you check out @beesandbombs on Twitter. He makes some really freaking awesome GIFs, and he was gracious enough to allow me to use them for these videos. Also, you can check out my Twitter, which is @Albze, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one.